Hello everyone, this is Anthony, formerly known as Anthony Virtually 2003 on my YouTube channel here. And let me tell you the truth why I don't like Dan Sobel and Amanda Cartrette. So yeah, so let's get started. So here we go, let's get started. The reasons why I'll tell you the reasons why I don't like Dan Sobel and Amanda Cartrette, and here's the truth, you guys. And this video is mostly for Nate the Game Me 2006 or SKY 1996. If you're watching this is a very special a video for you because this is just a real truth why I don't like Dan Sobel and Amanda Cartrette. Well, I don't know if you know about Amanda Cartrette for SKY 1996, but mostly for Dan Sobel. So yeah. Actually, for right now, I'm kind of like the same thing like SKY 1996, who doesn't like Dan Sobel. In case you're wondering. Like, I don't just hate Dan Sobel or Amanda, I just have no opinions on them. So yeah, for example. Well, mostly that is, so yeah. So, here's the real reasons why I don't like Dan Sobel and Amanda Cartrette. So I'm not going to do Amanda Cartrette for right now. I'm just going to talk about Dan Sobel first before I'll do Amanda Cartrette. So first I'm going to talk about is Dan Sobel. So why I don't like Dan Sobel, I'll tell you the reasons why I don't like Dan Sobel in my opinion. The reasons why I don't like Dan Sobel in my opinion is because I don't want to get my haters for that. That's the real reasons why I don't like Dan Sobel originally. I remember the first time I cut ties Dan Sobel, it was back in August of 2024, and I just started liking it again because I can't stand Dan Sobel hates me. Because I remember when I saw Nate the Game Me 2006 commentary video when Dan Sobel on his live stream, he starts hating me and he said that it hurts my feelings. And it did hurt my feelings, so I start liking him again. But I'm afraid, I know Dan and Nate won't mind if I know Dan Sobel would be proud of me if I liked him again. And he already did, though, so yeah. And Nate won't hate me if I did like Dan Sobel. And they said, I did tell him please don't hate me, but I'm afraid that we're not gonna trust everyone who. I'm afraid I got haters for that. So yeah. But as of right now, since April, until April 7th, 2025, I start cutting ties Dan Sobel. This recently, yep. And if Dan Sobel hates me, I don't really care nowadays. That's fine nowadays. Because I'm afraid he's the worst YouTuber ever. So yeah. And here's the truth why I don't like Dan Sobel. It's because I think what I just said before. Well, I think before Dan Sobel changing his pajamas. I think after when Brendan Pippin found out, or Andy Hose, whatever that is, when Dan Sobel was changing his pajamas in front of the kids on TikTok back in July of 2024 until July 30th, 2024, Brandon Pippin decided to cut ties me. This is why I should never like Dan Sobel. And I should have just cut ties. I should have listened to Ryan Sylvia. I think Ryan Sylvia, who originally decided to not trust Dan Sobel. I think Ryan was the one who originally. And I think right before Dan Sobel was changing his pajamas, Homer Simpson, the YouTuber, just made a cringe video on me, somewhere in the mid-July of 2024. When he made a cringe video on me for me supporting. The reasons why they made a cringe video on me is because I support Dan Sobel and Amanda Cartrette. And I remember when it's the one I made letters for Dan Sobel. and a video for Amanda Cartrette of me showing the silly girl picture. Even though my made-up character is silly girl because she loves pink because of the girly stuff. As a matter of fact, Amanda Cartrette likes girly things, but I'm not talking about Amanda Cartrette yet. I'm talking about Dan Sobel, not Amanda. So yeah. Well, mostly for and also I remember I did a YouTube short song for Dan Sobel. So yeah. I don't know why Amanda Cartrette. I don't know why Homer Simpson just made a cringe video on me. But it's a good thing Homer Simpson did delete the video, so I deserve Homer Simpson, the YouTuber, a thumbs up now. That would have been a thumbs down for Homer Simpson if he made a cringe video on me. Yeah. And I thought it was a funny video, but I just realized the cringe video on me was not the good thing. I thought it was a fun thing, but no, it turns out a lot of YouTubers. I remember someone said you should not eat chewing with my mouth full. And yes, I do talk with my mouth full of my food. And yes, and I think it's pretty disgusting. And also, Homer Simpson just made a cringe video on me back in July 2024. I think Eddie Ho cut-ties me before Brandon Pippin did. I think Ryan Sylvia cut-ties me first since July 2024. And then Andy Ho cut-ties me after Andy Ho found out on Homer Simpson, the YouTuber. And, so Andy Ho blocked me and unsubscribed to my channel since I was a Dan Sobel supporter. I'm afraid they're not gonna everyone to trust Dan Sobel. They're not gonna handle their opinions on Dan Sobel. They used to do it since I know back in September 2022, Dan Sobel was screaming at Devin Osborne, being the social media guy, back in September 2022. And by the way, it was already 3 years ago. Since 3 years ago, yeah, I did saw that back in 2022 the first time, but I didn't want to hate him. Yeah. But I didn't want to cut-ties him because I would still like Dan Sobel. I want to tell you the truth why I do like Dan Sobel, but unfortunately Brandon Pippin said I like him for no reason, but I do have a reason. It's because he likes Blue's Clues. Because I like do his Blue's Clues live segments, and he likes Blue's Clues like I do. And he likes children's shows like I do. And I'm fine. And I wouldn't mind if Dan Sobel likes My Little Ponies if he had the first now. Yeah. Yeah. But I do realize that Dan Sobel was being mean and giving middle fingers, showing up their private parts. Yeah. In case you're wondering why I said about hating Dan Sobel, I don't just hate him. I don't just hate him for everything. The only thing I hate about Dan Sobel, you guys, is he did some terrible things on his YouTube channel, such as, for example, what Dan Sobel was screaming at Devin Osborne, being a social media guy, and he was cussing and swearing. Well, I don't know about that. Well, I don't care if he swears. I'm fine. I know there are some people have a right to swear. Well, I don't really do swearing mostly, but I might someday. But I'm thinking about coming back swearing, but I don't know. But I probably do prefer not to. And also, I remember Dan Sobel was changing his pajamas in front of the kids. In case you're wondering, I wouldn't believe him because, well, he didn't. I think that would have been a mistake. I would have believed Dan Sobel, but that would have been a mistake because I think he was changing after he found out Dan Sobel changed pajamas. They called him a pedophile, and they didn't want everyone to. They did about Red Alert when Dan Sobel becoming a pedophile. If you guys like Dan Sobel, do not trust Dan Sobel. If you guys like him, Dan Sobel, you'll be blocked permanently, forever, permanently. Period. Yeah. I hate it when it happens. For me, if those of you who like Dan Sobel, I can handle their opinions. I know Jennifer Manning's Disney Jack 95 and some YouTube Ben LaMancha still likes Dan Sobel, but I don't hate them. Well, if you guys hate Ben LaMancha, I can handle your opinion. Or any other YouTubers, any of you guys who hates anybody who supports Dan Sobel, I can handle your opinion. Also, only if they're good YouTubers. I remember some YouTuber, not only just me who did it. It was Adam. They also blocked Adam Carter. I guess I was so scared back in July 2024. In case you didn't know about what I chose about hating Dan Sobel, I just really have no choice. So I just want to understand you guys, mostly for you, Nate. You just have to understand why I don't like Dan Sobel, Nate. Well, I'm fine if you hate Dan Sobel. You can hate Dan all you want, or don't like. Or, for me, I don't just hate him for everything. I just have no opinions on him. The only thing I prefer to Dan Sobel is he likes to do his Blue's Clues segments, and that's it. And I'm afraid Dan Sobel is a bad YouTuber. And he is a man-child. I got a feeling he is kind of old news now. But it's a good thing I cut ties Dan Sobel. And it's a good thing I cut ties since 2022. It's a good thing Homer Simpson deleted a video who made a cringe video. So I could give Homer Simpson, the YouTuber, the thumbs up for deleting a video. So yeah. I probably will never support Dan Sobel ever again. Because I'm afraid supporting Dan Sobel for me is getting a lot of trouble. I would have got haters, everybody got betrayed and stuff like that. And I was really a good guy. I was really a good guy, but I got betrayed for someone like Brendan Pippin, Ryan Goodwin. I'm not sure Anthony Craig hates me, but I know that Brendan Pippin, Ryan Goodwin, Andy Ho doesn't like me anymore. Well, actually, Andy Ho did like me again, I think, until, I don't know when he hates me, but I think, unfortunately, I have some terrible news about this, you guys. After I cut ties Dan Sobel, unfortunately, sadly, some YouTubers will not like me again. I'll tell you what it is. Brendan Pippin, Andy Ho, Brendan Harrison, and some other YouTubers out there who don't care about me told me I am in no position terms. I wish, like I have no position on hating Dan Sobel. I guess the reasons why about no position is I think they don't like me anymore. Even though I'm afraid it's too late forever. But I'm not a bad YouTuber. I'm really innocent. I'm not as bad as Dan Sobel and Amanda Cartrette. I know Dan Sobel doesn't wish a happy 9/11. Amanda Cartrette does. And speaking of Amanda Cartrette, I'll talk about that later. So yeah. And I guess I believe mostly there's two reasons why I don't like Dan Sobel. First of all, I don't want to get in trouble. It's because the reasons why I don't want to like him again is because I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want to get betrayed. I don't want other people to hate me or make fun of me or told me I grew up and get a job. Yeah. And I used to be friends with Dan Sobel since 2021. I remember I made letter segments for Dan Sobel I remember Dan Sobel made a letter for me back in 2021 through 2022 until my account got terminated, but I came back to YouTube for first time. This is my second time came back to YouTube. Second or third time or fourth time. This is actually my fourth time having my YouTube channel on the most popular part. So yeah. See, I don't have my old accounts anymore. 3 of me are my most channels that I usually do are gone. But now this is my fourth and most recent one. I had this channel recently since 2023, which is 2 years ago. So yeah. Yeah. I do have to not like Dan Sobel. It's not no joke, you guys. It's true. Yeah. So the reasons why I don't like Dan Sobel and I have no opinions on Dan Sobel is because I don't want to get in trouble for that. I would have got haters such as just like Brandon Pippen cut-ties me. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention Diego Hernandez Romero hates me too. I wish Diego Hernandez Romero liked me, but he used to care about me until they cut-ties me. I'm afraid they think I'm a worse YouTuber, but I'm not a worse YouTuber. I'm a best YouTuber. I'm really innocent. But it's a good thing I'm friends with it's a good thing I'm on Nate and Jordan Bowen's side than Dan Sobel. Nowadays, Jordan's Media Core 2000 is way better than Dan Sobel, so I don't have to worry about going without letters, because I can make letter segments for Jordan and Nate, but mostly Jordan. I remember a long time ago, I started making letter segments the most was Dan Sobel, the #1 favorite thing I usually do for making letter segments. I remember I made a letter segment for Dan Sobel for the first time, was me fixing a hot dog back in August of 2021. And until the last video, back in this year, 2025, I showed him a handy dandy notebook. I made 2 letters for Dan Sobel after I started liking him again, me with the cows, and me with a handy dandy notebook. But I did delete most of my letter segments for Dan Sobel. It's a good thing I deleted it, all except for the cow video. I'll accept me with the cows. I'm going to keep that just in case. So yeah, I just want to keep that just in case because it's because I like me with the cows. Yeah, but it's actually the video part when me making a letter for Dan Sobel, because I just got it on video when the cows were mooing. So I'm not talking about cows. I'm talking about Dan Sobel. So yeah. Yeah. And I remember Dan Sobel likes kids shows such as Blue's Clues, Blue's Room, Blue's Clues and You, My Little Pony, Sophia the First, Dora the Explorer, Go Diego Go, and other shows that he likes. Now, no wonder why I like about Dan Sobel. He likes Teletubbies too. He also likes Booba, just like I do. But I know the shows he hates were Rusty Rivets. I don't know if he likes PJ Masks. But I know he hates Horrid Henry. What's He Wet the Clumsy Cat? Happy Tree Friends, which that was actually I think the adult anime shows that he hates was Happy Tree Friends. So yeah. And, I remember Dan Sobel did a lot of bad stuff on his bad things. Like he was screaming, he was changing his pajamas, and they give middle finger and shoving up their private parts. No wonder why they hate Dan Sobel so much. So yeah. And no wonder why they bash other people's opinions on Dan Sobel. Like, I would have got betrayed and got haters. So that's the reasons why I don't like Dan Sobel. So yeah. Thank goodness Dan Sobel did not wish him a happy 9/11. But I do know he made unhappy birthday message because I don't know if he's really a bad person. He is kind of a bad person, but he is kind of a nice. He would have been a good guy, but I'm afraid he isn't. I thought Dan Soul was a good person, but I'm afraid he isn't. Well, he would have been innocent. He would have been really innocent, because I wouldn't mind his taste test videos. But I don't want to hate his taste test videos because I don't mind watching his taste test videos. He does do anniversary videos or rip videos when people passed away. When people are passing. So yeah. I remember he danced. I remember he. So yeah. So yeah. I know SK1996 doesn't like Dan Sobel. He doesn't hate him or like him. He just has no opinions. I will have to do the same thing like SK1996 does. So yeah. I have to do the same thing like SK1996. So yeah. Because anyways, Andy Ho, Brandon Pippin did a red alert like Dan Sobel becoming a pedophile. So that's after they did that, they blocked other the YouTubers who supports Dan Sobel or Amanda Cartrette if they were supporting. And I do know that Disney Jack 95 still likes Dan Sobel and Amanda Cartrette. I don't know if he's really a bad person, but just because they support Dan and Amanda doesn't mean they're bad people. I think so. Yeah, he is kind of a bad person for Dan Sobel, but most of all, he made a lot of bad choices. I would have believed Dan Sobel. I would have cared about Dan Sobel, but right now I don't care about him anymore. If I were you, for all the Dan Sobel haters, that is. So yeah. So I think that'll be it for Dan Sobel. Now we'll move on to Amanda Cartrette now. So anyways, we're done with Dan Sobel, so let's talk about Amanda Cartrette. I think I don't remember when I started knowing Amanda Cartrette. I think it was back in 2020 since I started liking Amanda Cartrette. And let me tell you the truth why I don't like Amanda Cartrette. It's because originally, because I just found out that originally I found out that Ryan Sylvia told me not to trust me. Do not trust at me because I supported Amanda Cartrette. Well, I didn't. Well, I just started cutting ties to her since first time, I believe, since back in June 19th. I believe it was June 18th or 19th of 2020 of this year, 2025. That's the YouTuber I cut ties to her. So yeah, the reason why I don't like Amanda Cartrette, in my opinion, is I don't want to get in trouble. Because I would have got in trouble, and it's a good, as a matter of, I don't mind cutting ties her nowadays because I'm afraid nowadays her channel is kind of boring anyways. And by the way, I don't just hate her. The only thing I prefer to Amanda Cartrette, in my opinion, is she likes Disney princesses because she likes girly type of stuff, such as Disney princesses or maybe Barbie, and she likes to collect a lot of dolls and stuff like that. I don't know about Baby Alive dolls or Cocomelon stuff. Even though I kind of have no opinion on Cocomelon. Oh yeah, I would maybe someday I might talk about Cocomelon, but not this video. Yeah, sorry. I'm not talking about Cocomelon. I'm talking about Amanda Cartrette. So yeah, even though if I were a Cocomelon hater, I would not bash people's opinions on Cocomelon. Maybe I might tell them to not like Cocomelon, but I cannot hate anybody who likes Cocomelon or any other innocent YouTube users. So yeah. And I just found out why Amanda Cartrette, well, she is kind of a bad person. If I were you guys, for Amanda Cartrette haters, you probably think she is kind of a bad person, huh? Isn't it? Well, I know Amanda Cartrette. Well, she would have never been a bad person. Well, She is kind of a bad person. She just make a lot of bad choices. That's all. Such as, I don't know if collecting Baby Alive toys is a bad choices, but I just realized I remember Jordan Bowens did a truth about Amanda Cartrette. When I found out on Jordan's Media Core 2000's rant on Amanda Cartrette, I just found out why she made cringe videos. Because she collect Baby Alive dolls, per pads, and Cocomelon stuff. I don't know about Baby Alive and Cocomelon stuff, but I think the most of all, what George said the second time, is her pads. That's one I don't care. And I'll tell you the most thing I hate about Amanda Cartrette. The only thing I don't like about Amanda Cartrette is she wishes Happy 9/11. But it's a good thing she didn't wish a Happy 9/11 in 2025. That was back in 2024. She did a Happy 9/11. Yeah, unfortunately, Ben Lucero made a Happy 9/11. Just like Amanda Cartrette did back in 2024. But I'm not talking about Ben Lucero. I'm talking about Amanda. So, yeah. And I just realized, I know 9/11 is a sad event. It wasn't a happy event. I don't know if Amanda Cartrette just made a mistake or she chose to do that. If she chose to do that, I would have been very disappointed. Because everybody makes mistakes, but right, if I were if you were Amanda Cartrette or Dan Sohei, that would have been a stupid mistake. And I just realized, I remember she did something wrong and her lot of cringe, inappropriate stuff are so cringe-worthy. Is she was hitting her mother and his brother, and he was crying and in meltdown, and she was recording stuff using the bathroom, and she just see her underwear showing. It's a good thing you see her naked butt. So yeah, it's a good thing because that's kind of inappropriate. Maybe that's why her channel got terminated. Or maybe they just reported her YouTube channel. I don't know. But unfortunately, she did close her YouTube channel, but unfortunately she came back to YouTube. Well, actually, Dan, in case you're, oh yeah, I forgot about Dan Sobel. Dan Sobel kind of did close his YouTube channel. Well, I remember when I know Dan Sobel, when he had his YouTube channel, he has his videos on YouTube 2 times, but his old accounts didn't get terminated. He has his old account for the whole time. He didn't close his YouTube channel, or he just deleted all his videos. Dan Soul just deleted all his videos because of the haters. But it's a good thing the YouTuber does not have his videos. Well, unfortunately, he might come back in 2027. I think he's going to take a break on his YouTube channel. He might learn his lesson. I would care about Dan Soul if he did learn his lesson or his wrongdoings. I would appreciate it, but I can't because I don't want to get haters for that. So yeah. And I do realize that Amanda Cartrette was recording videos at the ARC program, and she was using the bathroom back in 2017, and she was hitting her mother she was also friends with Dan Soul behind our backs. So yeah, which I don't know why Amanda Cartrette did bad things. I'm afraid Dan Sobel and Amanda Cartrette did some bad things. So yeah. So that was kind of the truth. So that was the truth about why I don't like Dan Sobel and Amanda Cartrette. I kind of do hate Amanda Cartrette and Dan Sobel, but I just have no opinions on those male-female YouTubers. So yeah. And Amanda Cartrette was older than Dan Sobel, and Amanda Cartrette was born on November 23rd, 1994, and Dan Sobel was January 13th, 1999. So Amanda Cartrette is 30 years old, and Dan Sobel is 26 years old. So yeah. So that's the truth about why I don't like Dan Sobel and Amanda Cartrette. I just want to let you know, guys, Nate, or anybody. So yeah, that's all I gotta say. Please subscribe to my channel. So yeah, thanks for watching. Peace.